Good morning, students. Today we will be starting the class of administrative law, the introduction part, the nature and the scope of the administrative law. Now, what is administrative law and what is the main objective of the administrative law? The main object of the administrative law is to protect the individual rights in the administrative part. Any authority who is misusing the power or abusing the private individual rights, every individual has a right to protect their rights so that they cannot misuse their power and they can be within the ambit of the law. And here, as you know that in our constitution, we have fundamental rights as well as the active principles of your state policy. All the fundamental rights are enforceable by law, which means that any individual who misuses or who damages the law, the government has the power to punish through detention or through fine and penalty. But if you come to the directive principles of the state policy, here they are not enforceable by law, which means that all the directive principles cannot be punished. If any of the person does not stand up when any national anthem comes or give a salute to your national flag, it is not the duty of the government to punish the people. This is the difference between the enforceable by law of your fundamental rights and not enforceable law by your directive principles of the state policy. Here it is very easy, but when the government does something wrong, what is the remedy for that? If the government authorities misuses the power or have any damages done for any of the private individual rights, every individual also has a right to file a writ petition against these authorities under Article 32 and 226 of High Court and Supreme Court. Like, there are 5 writs, that is habeas corpus, quo warranto, sic right, prohibition and mandamus. In the same way, here the main object of the administrative law is to protect the individual rights. The individual rights will be that the individual has a right to see the government accountability, and the object of the administrative law also sees that the government should be accountability, and the discussions in the decision making process, the government should see the welfare of the state and the individuals. They should not damage the private individual rights. Now here there are so many jurists or so many eminent persons who has given the definition about the administrative law. But this administrative law does not have a very clear provision or a clear phrase or a sentence or a paragraph about the definition of your administrative law. But when we come to Ivergeny, Wade, Casey Davis, etc., these are the eminent jurists who has given the definition of the administrative law. Whoever jurist or any eminent person, the main object of the administrative law is to protect the individual rights. And this law sees that every government employee or a civil servant should be accountable. Accountability is compulsory and the decision making power is in the hands of this administrative people. Now let us go about your nature and the scope of the administrative law. According to this law, the administrative law totally deals with the powers of the administrative authorities, and also it is protected, these administrative law will protect the aggrieved persons and the persons who are abused by the authority. These are the more important powers for the administrative law. Now, what is this? Who are the administrative authorities? All the civil servants who are appointed by the government in the state and the central are known as the administrative authorities. For example, a license officer is an administrative officer, a research person is an administrative officer who works for a government. Now, who will be an aggrieved person by the authority? Naturally, when any authorities misuses their power, any authority does not make their duty properly, when any authority misuses the authority for its private thing, or any person who misuses the power for any scam or any corruption, then every individual who is aggrieved by that authority has the right to question that authority through administrative law. Here, the constitutional law and administrative law are known as the co-brothers and co-sisters, where the constitutional law talks about the rules and regulations of the constitution which are adopted and which are written by our constituent assembly. But administrative law is a part of the constitution where it deals about the administrative authorities. Now, not only this, the main aim of the administrative law is to have social welfare and every right of the individual is protected by the administrative law. Now, how the social welfare? The administrative should see that all the individuals in the citizen, all the citizens or the individuals of that state are totally protected through the welfare schemes, and all the rights of the individuals are totally protected by the administrative law. Now, this administrative law mostly talks about or divided into main important 3 points. One is they have the administrative agencies. Second one is all the requirements which are given to the administrative law are totally imposed by law. If that means that if any person misuses, the law will not protect that person, but the law will show that they are under the control of the law. The third one is remedies available against any of the unlawful, any unlawful satisfactions or any unlawful administrative actions has been done to those individuals. Now let us go about these 3 things. What are these administrative agencies? Any agencies which are under the control of the administrative, like local authorities, state authorities or central authorities, which do the work for the welfare of the people and which sees and also protects the individual rights, are known as the administrative agencies. Now, whether the law will protect these administrative authorities? Yes. The law will also protect the administrative authorities as well as the individuals. When any administrative authority misuses the power, or when any person is corrupted, when any person is going out of the law, then the law will impose some restrictions to them. As we have restrictions for the Article 19 in our fundamental rights, every public authority also has a right to not misuse the power and should not go out of the limits of the power. Next, what are the remedies available for the unlawful administrative actions? Naturally, there are some trials done through your tribunals where any administrative officer or any civil servant is misusing the power. Compulsory, if it is unlawful, which is against the law, naturally the punishment will be given to those authorities. Now let us go to the next point, that is functions of administrative law. What are the functions? What the administrative law authorities will do? Here, there are 2 important functions. First one is government powers within the limits. Within the point itself, we have both the answers. All the civil servants, all the administrative authorities have the powers to do the administrative work accordingly. When the administrator does something wrong, which we use the word as unlawful actions, then compulsory the person should be within the limits. If the person does not exceeds the limits, naturally there will be some action, administrative action will be taken place by the law. It may be a detention, it may be a depromotion, it may be a memo, it may be a departmental inquiry, etc. Any of these things can happen when any government employee or any civil servant misuses or crosses the limits within the power which has been given. Example, when a license officer is a duty to provide or to give the license to a person, but the same person, the same license officer wants to make a decision making process like parliament, in the parliament in Lok Sabha, that is crossing the limits, that is the person is exceeding the limits. So the license officer has within the limits has to give the license to the person who are eligible for that application, whatever it has been provided to that license officer. Now, what does the state does? The state authorities also has the power to protect, to promote, to entrepreneur, to regulate all the rules and regulations, etc. or the rules and regulations has to be given by the state government employees. These are the main two functions. In those two functions also, it clearly talks about that the government has the power, the government authorities has the power, and that power should be used within the limits. They should not exceed their limits. Second point, all the state persons should protect them, should see their entrepreneurship, should also regulate, and all the powers are within the state authorities. Now, we will be talking about two theories in the administrative law. One is red light theory and second one is green light theory. First, let us talk about the red light theory. The red light theory talks about the rules, the regulations, the principles of the individuals, and these individuals' rights and interests should be also protected by this administrative law under this red light theory. If any officer, again the same thing, if any officer does not protect, or the person is exceeding the limits, or the person is abusing any of the individual, then the person will become under red light. This is known as red light theory, where the officials, the authority will see that the person who has abused the private interest, the public interest and the private interest, and any authority has misused the power, exceeded the limits, has to be punished. When we come to the green light theory, green light theory protects the private rights, as the green light theory talks about a political process. The political process, a person who has a right to be as who can be in a election commission, who can be as a person for the elections. A political leader should be a member of any political party. The rules and regulations of the political process, how the election commission will keep the elections, who can be voted, and how the member of the representative of that election, of that person who is being elected, the rules and regulations has been totally given in your green light theory, which is known as political process. Now, let us talk about the main important point here is what is differences between your constitutional law and your administrative law. Both are the part of the law, and both are known as co-brothers and co-sisters. Okay, here the main difference of the constitutional law is the document which consists of rules and regulations and principles, which was framed or taken by many other countries by a constituent assembly, and deals with all within the territory of India, whatever the rules and regulations has been imposed. But when we come to it also talks about the rules and regulations, but when we come to administrative law, it talks about only the general principles related to one organization, or related to only civil servant, public departments and statutory bodies, or any other legislative bodies. So here, when we talk about these differentiations, the administrative law also talks about the powers, the functions, the rules and the regulations of these government organizations and government agencies. Because administrative law is a part of constitutional law, and constitutional law is given wholly to within the territory of India. Okay, thank you students. Today we have completed the main object, the scope, the nature, the meaning of the administrative law, who are the jurists who has given the definitions of administrative law, what are the main functions of admin law, what is the red light and green light theory, and also differences between your constitutional law and your administrative law. The remaining part will be taken in the next class. Thank you.